Hello Year 10. In today's lesson, you're going to be looking at how the Nazis used propaganda to help control ideas and culture. Before you complete the lesson, you need to complete the knowledge quiz using the Google form attached. So pause the video and complete that now. Okay, so the focus of today's lesson is propaganda. So the Nazis used propaganda to help them control German people's lives. And they aimed to control how people think. Now, propaganda means the spreading of information that influences how people think and behave. It only gives certain points of view and often leaves out important facts. So the Nazis used powerful propaganda to get the support of German people. As you can see in the pictures, these are examples of Nazi propaganda. So on the left, we have a picture emphasizing the role of the family and how important it is for Germans to be married and to have lots of children. And we can also see that all the people in this picture are Aryans. They all have blonde hair. And we can see that the man is putting his arms around the family as if he's trying to protect them. And that the mother is focused on her baby, showing that mothers need to be looking after the children and very caring. And on the right-hand side, this propaganda is about how the Nazis are going to benefit the unemployed and the working class people of Germany. So how they're going to offer them jobs and money to get Germany back on its feet. Now, a man called Dr. Joseph Goebbels was in overall charge of the Nazis' propaganda machine. Now, Goebbels aimed to use propaganda to persuade the German people that Nazi ideas were correct and that the Nazis were achieving great things. So he aimed to use censorship to prevent German people from hearing, seeing, or reading anything that went against Nazi ideas. So we have two ideas that they're trying to use. They're trying to use propaganda to promote the ideas of the Nazis and show the benefits of the Nazi regime, but they're also using censorship to stop people hearing about all the negative things that some people believe the Nazis was doing. So Nazi propaganda often took very simple ideas and repeated them, and it was used to unite the German people and convince them that they would make Germany strong. Now, Germans were encouraged to hate the countries that signed the Treaty of Versailles, and they said that Germany should fight back to get the territory stolen by the treaty. Goebbels also created something called the Hitler myth, which made Hitler seem like a god and the saviour of Germany. And this was called the cult of the Führer, that he was almost a godlike figure that could do no wrong. The Nazis' propaganda also said that Jews and communists were the biggest cause of Germany's problems. And the Nazis encouraged a return to traditional German values and a revival of traditional German culture. Okay, so the Nazis wanted to surround people with their propaganda, and they used censorship to prevent Germans from seeing or hearing anything that gave a different message. So on the left, we can see a picture of some radios, and they sold cheap radios and controlled broadcasts. By 1939, about 70% of households had a radio, which gave the Nazis a voice in most people's homes. And in 1933, only 3% of Germany's daily newspapers were controlled by the Nazis. But by 1944, 82% of papers were controlled by the Nazis. So they were controlling most of the newspapers and what could be published in them. And they could also stop bad things being published or broadcast on the radio. So the Nazis also produced hundreds of films, and the films showed the strengths and the weaknesses of opponents. And you can also see in the picture on the right hand side here is the Nazi rally. These were mass gatherings of Nazi supporters, army, SA, all kinds of different people from the Nazi party to show the strength and power of the Nazi regime and the good that they were doing for Germany. Okay, now then, for your first task, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be completing a table that looks like the one on the screen. So for each of the different propaganda methods, you're going to explain how it was used as propaganda and how it was used as censorship. So, for example, how it was used as propaganda, how it was used to promote Nazi ideas, and its censorship, how it was used to stop other ideas being communicated. So I'm going to give you an example of what you're meant to do. So on the screen, you can see this is the example about rallies. So it says the Nazis held huge rallies that presented an image of order and control. At Nuremberg, Nazi rallies were attended by hundreds of thousands of people. Goebbels and Albert Speer stage managed these rallies to give a dramatic impression of our overwhelming power and unity. So that's the first thing we want to pick up on, that the rallies gave a dramatic impression of overwhelming power and unity, that they demonstrated that the country was unified and that the Nazis were powerful. Then it carries on. Searchlights, uniforms, stirring music, torchlight parades, flags and symbols created an impressive scene. The rallies gave people a sense of belonging to a powerful movement that was achieving great things. So here we have our next bit that we want to make note of, that it gave people the sense of belonging, there was a powerful movement, and that they were achieving great things. So then it says, Goebbels described how rallies changed a person from a little worm into part of a large dragon. So the rallies were so well attended that it seemed as if every German enthusiastically supported the Nazis. So there we go. So we've got the last bit that we want to pick out, that the rallies were really well attended, and it showed that Germans supported the Nazis. So for those 3 points, we're going to take those and we're going to put those into examples of propaganda. So like we said, it gives a dramatic impression of overwhelming power, that it gave people a sense of belonging, and that they were well attended, that it showed that people supported the Nazis. Now from this section, we don't have any examples of censorship, so we wouldn't put anything in this column. Now, as you read through the article that I've scanned in for you, you will find that there are some examples of censorship, normally from newspapers, radio, films, books. You will see examples where the Nazis are stopping people from demonstrating their ideas or giving their opinions, and that's what you're looking for if you're looking for censorship. So, read through the article, complete the rest of the table onto the Google Doc that I've made for you as this task. So pause the video and complete that now. Okay, so this is your last task of the lesson. It's a really straightforward exam question. This is a simple 4 marker. So as you know, for a 4 marker, we're looking for just one really well developed paragraph of maybe 5 or 6 sentences that has 2 points in it. And in this one, it wants you to describe 2 ways in which Goebbels' propaganda and censorship policies were used to control the German population. So look back at your table, and I suggest you find one example of the way in which they used propaganda to control people, and then one example of how they use censorship to control people. And just write about three sentences about each one, and that'll be enough to give you a well-developed answer. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.